I was wrong. Dead wrong. When I made that video predicting Google's potential breakup, I genuinely believed we were about to witness the most significant antitrust action since AT&T's dismantling in the 1980s. I stayed up nights imagining Chrome being sold off, Android becoming independent, and Google's search monopoly crumbling before our eyes. Then Judge Mehta delivered his ruling, and honestly, I'm still processing the shock. Google gets to keep everything. Chrome stays. Android stays. The entire ecosystem that I thought was destined for demolition remains intact. If you're feeling as blindsided as I am right now, you're not alone. But here's what's keeping me up at night now. What we actually got might be more revolutionary than the breakup I was expecting. Let me be crystal clear about what just happened. Judge Mehta looked at the Department of Justice's breakup proposal, the one that would have forced Google to sell Chrome and divest Android, and essentially said, "Nice try, but no." His reasoning: Chrome and Android weren't the weapons used to create the illegal monopoly. They were just the platforms. The real weapon was something far more insidious: exclusive agreements. Think about it. Every time you bought a new phone and Google was already set as your default search engine, that wasn't an accident. Every time you opened a new browser and found yourself automatically searching through Google, that was the result of billions of dollars in exclusive deals. Google wasn't just building better products. They were systematically eliminating choice before consumers even knew they had options. And Judge Mehta just banned all of that. Here's where my initial disappointment turned into something approaching excitement. Because while Google gets to keep its toys, they're about to lose something potentially more valuable: their ability to guarantee dominance through backroom deals. Starting now, Google cannot make exclusive agreements that make their search the default anywhere. They can still pay for placement, but only if those agreements are non-exclusive. Do you understand what this means? For the first time in decades, other search engines will have a real shot at becoming default options on phones, browsers, and devices. Imagine opening a new phone and actually being asked which search engine you prefer. Imagine browser installations that don't automatically funnel you to Google. Imagine a world where Bing, DuckDuckGo, or even completely new players can compete for that precious default position. This is the competitive landscape shift I never saw coming. But here's the part of the ruling that made my jaw drop: the data sharing mandate. Judge Mehta just ordered Google to provide qualified competitors access to portions of their search index and user interaction data. Not advertising data. Google fought hard to protect that revenue stream, but the core search intelligence that has been their secret sauce for decades. Remember how I talked about Google's unfair advantage through Chrome's surveillance capabilities? While they get to keep Chrome, they now have to share the insights that data provides with their competitors. This is like forcing a poker player to show their cards while the hand is still being played. For years, we've been reverse engineering Google's algorithm, analyzing patents, and making educated guesses about ranking factors. What if that guessing game is about to end? What if smaller search engines suddenly gain access to the behavioral insights that have made Google's results so eerily accurate? The playing field isn't just leveling, it's being completely reconstructed. Here's where the ruling gets really interesting. Judge Mehta extended these restrictions to generative AI technologies, preventing Google from using the same anti-competitive tactics in emerging markets. This caught me completely off guard. I was so focused on traditional search that I underestimated how much AI considerations would influence this decision. The judge essentially said, "We're not just fixing the current monopoly, we're preventing the next one." Google's AI overviews, their BARD integration, their entire AI-powered search strategy, all of it now operates under the same non-exclusivity rules. But here's what really blew my mind. The judge noted that AI developments might naturally increase competition against Google in the near future. He's betting that technological disruption will do what regulatory action couldn't. That's either incredibly naive or brilliantly prescient. I honestly can't tell which. What really surprised me about this ruling is the enforcement mechanism. An independent technical committee will oversee Google's compliance for 6 years. 6 years. This isn't a one-time penalty or a quick fix. This is sustained regulatory pressure that could outlast multiple technology cycles. Think about how much the digital landscape has changed since 2019. Now imagine Google operating under these restrictions through similar transformational periods ahead. Google also has to publicly disclose any material changes to their ad auction processes. The black box that has frustrated advertisers for years, it's about to become significantly more transparent. This level of ongoing oversight suggests the judge understands something crucial. Google's dominance isn't just about current market share. It's about their ability to adapt and maintain control through each technological shift. Looking back at my original predictions, I was completely wrong about the mechanism, but surprisingly accurate about the impact. I thought Chrome divestiture would be the earthquake that reshapes everything. Instead, we got something more subtle but potentially more effective: the dismantling of Google's exclusive deal architecture combined with mandatory data sharing. I was right about one thing, though. This is going to fundamentally change the SEO landscape. When other search engines gain access to Google's behavioral data and when default search positions become competitive again, the entire game changes. Your SEO strategy can't just be about optimizing for Google anymore, because Google might not be the default search engine for a significant portion of users within the next few years. Here's my biggest miscalculation. I thought the professional disaster would come from Google's breakup making our current knowledge obsolete. Instead, the disaster might come from not preparing for a multi-engine optimization reality. If DuckDuckGo suddenly has access to sophisticated behavioral data and secures default positions on major platforms, how ready are you to optimize for their algorithm? If Microsoft leverages this ruling to make Bing a serious challenger again, do you understand their ranking factors? Most SEO professionals are so Google-focused that they've never seriously studied alternative search engines. That's about to become a critical blind spot. Both Google and the DOJ have indicated they might appeal this decision. That means we could be looking at months or even years of legal uncertainty while this plays out in higher courts. But here's what I learned from covering this story. The SEO professionals who adapt quickly to regulatory changes consistently outperform those who wait for final clarity. The smart money isn't waiting for the appeals process to conclude. They're already diversifying their traffic sources, studying alternative search engines, and preparing for a post-monopoly digital landscape. My original video was titled around what kept me up at night, the possibility of Google's breakup. Now I'm losing sleep over something entirely different. The possibility that this measured approach might be more disruptive than the dramatic breakup I was expecting. Google keeping Chrome means they retain their surveillance capabilities, but losing exclusivity deals means competitors can actually capitalize on the intelligence they'll now be required to share. Google maintaining Android ensures ecosystem continuity, but other search engines can now compete for default status on those devices. It's surgical rather than destructive, and that might make it more effective. Judge Mehta just handed us a preview of the post-monopoly internet, and it looks nothing like what any of us expected. Google survived, but their stranglehold on search distribution is over. The exclusive deals that made them unavoidable are now illegal. The behavioral data that gave them an insurmountable advantage must now be shared with qualified competitors. This isn't the breakup I predicted, but it might be the disruption we needed. If you're not preparing for a multi-engine optimization reality right now, you're making the same mistake I almost made, assuming dramatic change requires dramatic action. Sometimes the most revolutionary changes come through measured precision rather than explosive destruction. And honestly, I think Judge Mehta just proved that point. The Google monopoly era isn't ending with a bang. It's ending with the quiet dismantling of exclusive deals and the forced sharing of competitive intelligence. In some ways, that's even more terrifying than the breakup I was expecting. The question now isn't whether Google will survive this ruling. It's whether the rest of us are ready for what comes next.